And another one to do in the morning time when you wake up. Take your time, grab some breaths, listen to some relaxation music, extend, extend out your arms, push your palms and your wrists basically out so then your fingers could join into equip to in tune. And just push them up in the air. And let them come back down. And while you're doing this, you're gonna feel everything just tight. I feel it all tight right now, you know? Like it's all tight. I feel it all tight. The fingers are the things that are least tight, but they're still gaining the tightness. You know, they're still getting tight. They're still being tight, but just not as tight as some other areas when I have them tight. So, for instance, your pinkies, you know, okay, just small things like that. Maybe not this joint, but this joint's the one that keeps it tight for me, so I have to try to tune this one also. Maybe this guy isn't the tight one that's pushing out to help me in tune these ones. So you do that, but this is warming up then the motion of what's in front of you and around you, being more tight and one with yourself, doing this now even better than me just getting up into this motion and just being what I was instead of right now when I feel so much more ready and in tune. And that's when you realize how different of a player you are compared to anyone else in any opportunity you want to get up into. Because now I'm just more capable, more ready. Anything that comes, you know? But this is just the beginning. So this is the warm up that's just warming up my body, giving me a little bit of a different type of flow now because I feel the flow flowing all the way to areas that weren't smoothly more getting before I opened it up a lot more and allowed myself this ability. So then when you take that and you try to start doing things like that with these, then that's just opening these guys up a lot more because we're still working on our hips and our knees and the muscles in between both of them, and then our ankles and then our feet. And up here, we were just working on our hands already because all this was so ready and utilized. And these guys just always hung back and didn't get to do a lot. You know, we just had them tied down like they weren't allowed to do something. And it comes back to bite you in the butt, you know? But if you could learn to work it and fight it and find forces against each other with it, I accidentally just stopped it. And then you could find forces with it. That's when you then in tune and you start making these more in tune. So now these are coming more in tune. If you take your patience more, you build a lot more muscle memory and gain in it, you know? But then when you start to notice, then start to work your toes and see what they do and the angles that you can create. And you see what it's flexing? That's proof right there that that's what is connected, you know? That's where the connection comes from. So it comes from your hip, your knee, you know? So then how do you work it? To your ankle into this motion. You get what I'm saying? You see it all moves. It all moves. See, I'm getting tired right now with this warm up. And this is warming up all the areas in my body that needed the warm up, needed that exercise, needed that flexibility. So now when you get up into whatever you do, you ready, dog. What are you about to do? Let's go. Let's go, dog. You get what I'm saying? Like, like you feel so powerful. But when you keep composed and you keep your breath in control, mind focused, but really relaxed, not thinking too bad, just let your body take over. Let it do what it needs. You know, right here, working my knee now instead of my ankle twisting, working my knee now with it is opening my hip now. You know, just the next connection you have to add on to. And now what happens when you bring in both? Because remember, your hip has a lot different type of movement than your knee allows the circulation of your ankle to do. Not necessarily, but when you want to work them in the right demand to be able to do something, to be able to pick up something, you know? So it's a twist onto another twist onto another twist that's completely different, you know? Why you think that our foot is going this way, basically perpendicular, than what this is, because we've been walking on the ground like this forever instead of being allowed to open up and have all this different development. You've just been limiting yourself. Going in and out, working all different types. Trying to hit all different spots, you know? Better motion and technique, even if you're going super slow, is what actually builds you up a lot more. And look how big these arms are. You get that? These arms are so wide and big, and this shit's on my actual arm. You get what I'm saying? Like, if I had full control of these, which I mean I do have ability for, and you gain that and develop it and understand it while you go. But that's what allows you to learn. It's what allows you to but this is who you are. This is what you are. You are this right here. This is what you are made of. Okay? So, all this right here is what you're made of, okay? All of that. You know, everything here is what it's made of. So you're sitting here and you're thinking, okay, well, first off, these dudes are having go up like this and chill like that. That's what these guys are doing basically right now. But in actuality, they're kind of doing it like this. You know, you see the knees? Now this is the back of the arm. Well, technically they'd have it like this. Yeah. This is the back right here. This would be the hamstring back here. Then this would be the calf muscle right here. This is the calf muscle, actually right in here. This is the calf muscle right here. That's this. And then this guy's just pushing out. You get what I'm saying? they focus on the elbow out. It's such a different twist that's got on me. But when you try to match them up and compare, and then you come back, this is how healing process works. This is how you heal the ligaments that you have injured. This is how you heal your ligaments that have been injured. And it takes time. But your abilities allow you to. You've just dumbed down so much into only using one hand to do everything that you don't really think to utilize your others in the need of healing. And working, trying to make your knee touch and come around, and touch and come around, which really opens this guy up. You got to understand the flexibilities of the joints and that they can move and be different than what you're limited to because you don't have that capability, because your mind doesn't think about letting your body do it, which dumbs you down, because then that's less import for your body to allow things to come in and you to actually do and use and utilize and be brighter and smarter. So you keep on working your joints, trying to get each joint to touch the ground, and then understanding its flexibility in the flex that you're trying to work right now. So I'm trying to do my hip while my knee touches down, and don't let it go further than it can, and try to get your mind to think the process through to do. And a lot of it has to do with your breathing and where you put your breath on instead. So now you saw how I was like that. There was the line. I brought all my breath into my shoulders now and into my chest. That's me working on my breathing, and it actually helps a lot. And you see how much more open, because now I'm relying on my limbs instead of just my spine, basically. You gotta keep going. Push yourself, you know? Now you just can tell that these guys just look a lot more open and ready to perform. So then, and well, that's just the off balance. What's crazy is that right there is just the off balance of when you're working your hip with your knee going like this. Working this flexibility right here. So when you have all your breath and in tune here, this now has all that control. So you're balancing this now off of your limbs instead of this now off to your stomach, let's say, you know? So now you have a whole different limb that's ready for exportation. You get what I'm saying? And this was just the morning warm up. Now, what happens when you get 2 hours away? You know, what do you do in between those times right there, though? You know? Or do you only want to wake up 2 hours before the game? Or do you just want to take a nap right before? It all just depends, you know? That's just how you want to get ready. But when you can allow somebody to understand what to do with your body, throughout each day. But while you're in these moments, if you can really tune in with them and kind of heal up some of those weaker spots that needed to become a little bit more in tuned just throughout what you've been doing in your life. Maybe it was a finger, maybe it was a twisted ankle a little bit, anything. Maybe it was a knee, maybe it was a pulled hamstring. Just the different ways that you got to then stretch it. You know, find the different way for your heel, and it takes a little bit of time. But when you tune into the things that I show you, like the flexation with this is working all of those. You're not just trying to force out tension. you know you kind of develop into it. So it's a little bit different of a way and an approach to go in. And I mean, doing some air squats like 50, doing like 25 push-ups, that all should really be like it should be really easy, to be honest. Like it should be really easy. You know, you do them every day, so it should be super easy to knock them out. And when you then take your time while you do it, like not sitting there with 10 seconds going down, but like 3 or 4, you're just taking your time, kind of going down and taking your time coming back up. That's then building everything that you just warmed up. It's making all these areas now tight. So now you're actually fully feeling a whole block of madness, joint to joint to joint, just block of madness. Block of madness right here, because now you have two, but now it's the block of madness right here. I'm not gonna do that right here because that shit would hurt for sure, but these guys aren't even half as in tuned as in what these guys up here are in tuned and ready to do. You get what I'm saying? So, but the thing is, the capabilities of this are just tremendous. And if you do what I say in these type of ways, that's what helps the muscle when you do workouts or whatever you do actually build every portion now, instead of just focusing on one area, one area, one area. Just because you're used to going like that, because you don't have the capability to really press them out any way you want to do. You get what I'm saying? So that's what all works, the different types of muscles and your capabilities to then become something. And when you're already something, this is the way to kind of refurnish yourself. Regain everything that allowed you to become this in the first place. Help them now. So once you help all these guys out now, because you already have a great mind setting and drive, motivation, natural athletic ability now, because you're this far along, that you sit here and you just now help out the things that got you actually here. These are the 4 things that got me here, but now these guys are the ones that need massive more amounts of work. And look how much these guys are really opening up now. And now I feel it in my ankles, feel it in your heels. Just play in this moment right here, because this moment is something that people take for granted because they're not used to the actual abilities of what these guys could do. And now when you start focusing on the pinkies more, it could bring you into a little bit more of a balance. And that's good, because we're so used to putting everything up here. Everything up here. When we could start putting stuff over here a little bit, that's when you start to become your own and with one. And when you find that balance, then you build that strength in that balance. Then it reminds you of everything else that you've done to get to this moment. So then when I'm sitting here trying to keep that air up in my breath, trying to keep that air up in, air up into my chest, into my arms while I'm fighting this. Trying to keep that perfect balance with those pinkies because those pinkies really need it, pushing down with all these other joints. They're super tight right now because they really feel the hurt. And then you bring it in with your knees in your thighs because that's everything that gets you to right here. You gotta remember that. And then just keep going with it. Keep going with it. Keep going with it. Keep going with it. Just give them their little ability that they could do because the littlest things right now are the things that are keeping these guys most in tune. Because if you do something silly and pop off, then it's going to throw you right off because it's so hard to get to that one spot in the first place. It's so hard to get right to your pinkies, stay on your pinkies, and then you make a move and then it throws you right back to these guys. So then once you sit there and you do your squats and your push-ups, now you're really fully building exactly a great preparation to get into the game. And you right before the game and coming up to the game is what you have to work with. And there are different ways to really get your body physically ready to do something, or just get your mind physically ready and your body going through motion. So when your mind is physically ready but your body is physically ready, so you don't have to think about what your body does, then allows your mind to take so much time, so much patience, so much control, so much better ability to then make plays because you don't have to worry about your body. Your body's there to do what your mind wants it to do now. And that's just by warming it up properly. So these are the different ways to then warm it up properly. So then you always just feel the tension and reaction. And I was going to go through the push-ups and the squats with you to just show you then to just build it, because this is what you have to do. So this is just showing you what you need to then do then. And do the push-ups where you go down and then just come up and really feel it. It should be tiring. The less reps should make it more tiring, which means you're really focusing on areas that are harder. So then push down with your finger joints, you know, try and cup it with your thumbs a little bit to get you a good angle. That's what that brought me to, a good angle now. So now I find a good grip with everything and they all in tune. And when they all in tune with their own tightness, that's when all this then gets working a lot more. Doing whatever you gotta do to really wake every portion up, you know? Whether you keep your hands like this and then one sideways and then do push-ups, okay? Going like this, going like that, and then doing push-ups. You get what I'm saying? And then give yourself a breath. You relax, okay? So that should be hard and challenging. This is after. Now that's the recovery time. That's your body feeling physically warmed up now. This breath is for your patience, for your brain to get back onto just focused. So now you're on focus and your body is ready to go. So now everything that you do is going to be just this much better and ready because you just allowed your body to be physically ready. So then you could start working your spine because that's something you haven't really worked. Into your shoulder to the opposite hip. So my shoulder to my hip. Just think of a pull and a twist. Shoulder to hip. A pull, which is pulling the extending, and then a twist, which is allowing side body in. That's flexible back, which makes everything better. Like the most important part. So many different notches. It's like just so many just vertebrae on vertebrae on vertebrae that you can completely control each one of them. It's crazy.